Good evening, I'm Tammy Schroeder. You know, Dolly Parton has once said, "Don't be so busy making a living that you forget to make a life." I'm going to go through a list of groups of people, and I want you to think about what you think they might have in common. Working women, working mothers, dual income families, full-time students working full-time jobs, adult workers having to care for their elderly parents. Got any ideas? One of the things these groups of people have in common is that they have demands on their personal lives, their professional lives, and they really need to achieve some work-life balance. I'm going to talk about 3 different things that deal with this topic. One is I'm going to do a little historical perspective on a study that was done a while ago that still has applicable results for today. Why corporations are willing to offer work-life balance programs, and what are the responsibilities of the workers, of us as employees to achieve this in our lives. First thing I'm going to do is show you this image that I found of this young man who is clearly divided. He has his work life, which talks about hard work, sales, presentations, quotas, and then other here in his more relaxed gear, it talks about family and kids and having fun and relaxing and quality time. What is the image, does this picture, what does it stir up for you? For me, it feels like this person is divided and they're being pulled in 2 different directions. And I don't see, at least for me, a lot of harmony going on here. So we're going to talk about how to achieve some of that make it look a little bit different. So the first thing I want to talk about is this study I found. It was done a long time ago when virtual employees were called telecommuters, and IBM did a study on their virtual employees or telecommuters and the people that worked in the office. And a couple of things that they found I think are still true today. If your company offers a virtual option and you take that, one of the things the study found is that it's really easy to blur family time and work time even at home. It's really easy to become a workaholic because you're accessible, you have your equipment right there at home, and it's really easy to constantly be working even while you're at home, and that can be a real pitfall for people who do work at home. The second thing I want to talk about is an article I read by Judith Nixon, and she talks about why corporations are willing to create programs such as dependent care and flexible work schedules and paid and unpaid family care time, and why companies want to do that. It's not just because they're nice, it's because it helps their bottom line, because one of the things is they want to attract and retain quality talent, and all those pools of people that we've already mentioned, there's a lot of talent in those demographics, those groups of people. And so corporations, Fortune 500 companies, want to attract and retain talent. And so one of the angles they take is that if we can offer them these programs so they can better manage the demands of their time, then they'll be loyal to us and then they'll stay and the turnover might be less. The third article that I read that I want to talk to you about is by Dr. Beers, and she's an assistant professor of pediatrics at Children's National Hospital in Washington, and she had some very, very practical suggestions to physicians, which are very applicable also to us as employees in general. Okay, so we've got a great company, let's say, that has offered us all these programs. And yet, how do we avoid the pitfalls of that earlier study where we are given this opportunity to perhaps work at home, either part-time or full-time? Maybe we balance that flex time at home or flex time at work. And yet, how do we avoid blurring those lines and still not achieving balance? Well, we've got to take some responsibility, right? And so what she talks about is to define what it is we want. What does work-life balance look to me? Because it might look different to me than it does to you. And what it looks like for me today, it may be different 6 months from now or a year from now. So she really talked about taking a step back and planning and deciding what we want it to look like. And then she said to take steps to achieve that plan. So for example, if I work in my office, but I want to have a family time dinner, then I've got to make sure I leave work at a certain time in order to be able home to eat with my family. And then she talked about taking care of ourselves, that in order for it to have the energy to face all these demands and address all these demands in our lives, that we've got to take care of ourselves. And that means eating well and sleeping and resting. And she really made a big point of unplugging, like for an hour at a time, regularly, just to unplug and to turn off the phone, turn off the computer, and just be and do something we enjoy and be with people that we love. without all that stuff going on. So in conclusion, in order to achieve work-life balance and to not be split up, but in order to create harmony, we need to clearly define what it is we want. We need to fight really hard to not blur the lines between work and family. And we need to take care of ourselves in order to achieve that really good work-life balance. Thank you.